Just gonna jump right into it. We're gonna play some Phoenix Wright, and hopefully the idea is that I'll be done right around the time that the Nintendo Direct starts, so we can watch the Nintendo Direct after I do this. So we'll see how that goes, because we're just jumping in right at the trial here. I don't know if that's actually gonna work out, but I am gonna watch it, and if anything, I'm probably gonna get done early if I can. Oh. Had almost a sneeze happen there. That was really scary. The sneeze just like tried to get it in my brain, and it was like, oh no. Yeah, so we're thinking around 2.5 hours. I'm not gonna try and do anything different. I'm not gonna go any faster or slower to try and we'll just see how it works out. But if anything, we're not gonna take longer, is what I'm saying, than our estimated time. I really don't think. I really wish it wasn't Maya who always started these, because she's the most boring voice to do. It's way easier to jump into like doing Phoenix Wright. It's a lot easier than just like Maya, who's like a girl. And she's got girl voice. Hey, Nick. What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atmy's trial today. Detective Atmy? They say they're gonna try him as mask to mask. Already? Oh, that was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Mask to Mask's trial. I know. What? What was that? Why was there a big spooky I know red text? What? With a question mark person? Anyway, by the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you... Who is this? I know you don't like me. Well, I wonder what's going on. That's pretty spooky. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight! Good morning. Oh, no one likes me. No one would notice me, even if I kill someone. Please! He's literally please, man. It's a play Thieves too. Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec. You don't mean you're the murderer? No, I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor. Now let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending him to help him commit the heists. Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murderer, Nick? It's possible. But today's trial is a race against the clock. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. No, we have to finish before the Nintendo Direct, Maya. You don't understand. I'm afraid that's not an option. Hmm? He knows we have to hurry. I guess we have to hurry. I don't know what the hurrying has to do or not to do with the big scary red text that's like, I know you don't like me. Nah. I don't know what's up with that.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
You're ready. Preparation is the last refuge of the weak.
Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot.
He's got the judge in the palm of his hand. Yet again.
Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all.
I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot.
Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war. But that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right?
I don't. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case.
Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change.
The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day.
And thus when our lost little kitten dropped the ball.
He does. He looks like the captain that just dies. He's got a big old fat face.
That lost little kitten is, of course, the defendant.
Very well then, Mr. Godot. Please, call your first witness.
I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best.
Mr. Godot, your witness?
Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself.
The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It's maybe a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but...
I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify.
Ha! You've got no guts, Wright.
All right then. Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand.
No, he's got 0 objections. Not even the objections he mentioned.
You did it, didn't you?
Yes? No, that's not true.
For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever.
Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making. And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin.
Ha! Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home.
Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. I have to put my hand over my face or else the main voice doesn't work.
That evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
"1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place."
The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up.
Okay.
It's bitter today too, just like my destiny.
You'd never know that from the way he's chugging it down.
"Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please."
All right, buddy. Oh yeah, I still have leftover hurts from getting my butt blasted by stupid whatever, the chains of truth or the brain locks or whatever they're called. Psych locks, there we go.
1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that? Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was also a bit...
1 a.m., that's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct?
It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure.
Okay. I mean, your clock being slow might be very important to the trial, but I'm sure it's fine. I mean, less important things have been like the turning point of the trial, so I don't know, whatever. It's fine. Don't worry about it, buddy, old pal, old friend.
It ordered you there. It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere.
Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then?
Oh, of course. It says things like, steal this or take that.
Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more.
Now what should I do?
Well, I think we're gonna have to establish that he was masked to mask under duress, but... Ooh, is there a big discount thing? When I first opened up Steam, I went immediately to my library, so I didn't see. Ooh, nice. That's a good price for Yakuza games. Those are fun.
I can't press Ron too hard. It could ruin the case. I'll just take this one slowly.
Wow, Nick, you kind of look like a politician planning out your next move. What, is that the only people who plan out their next move? Is it's only politicians do that, nobody else. Especially not lawyers. Not any lawyers I know, anyway.
You used to be security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right.
A security chief? You?
And yet, a year ago, you are fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject.
Why was he fired? We never established this.
Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well, the world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I'd say...
Defendant, please answer the question.
We need to establish that he was mask to mask under duress. It doesn't matter.
Well, I needed money.
You needed money.
Well, you see, Daisy loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief,
You stole some data and sold it.
Mr. Bullard found out and I was fired immediately.
What? I wish I'd never asked that.
I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own.
What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you.
Do you admit that you stole data from your company? Is that correct?
Yes, I am sorry.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse, crashed, and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. Yeah, sure, we just need more info. We need him to say more things. That's all that matters. Because we need to progress the story. Don't you know, Phoenix? Don't you understand how this goes?
He fired me for selling company secrets, but Daisy doesn't know about that.
Why would you do something like that?
Well, for Daisy's hobby, what else?
Wasting money, huh?
It's not a waste!
So Miss Delight doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she? So it would seem. I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other. I can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples.
Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
There wasn't much to his testimony, was there? Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least that's what it sounds like to me. Uh-oh. I've got a bad feeling about this. We'd better be careful. But if we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth. Yeah. I don't really care about truth. I just want to go home. All right, let's press this again and ask the other question. Wait, no. Oh, okay, I can't ask the other question. It's time to do this one then. Fine. It was the first time I got in the blackmail letter. Yeah. We've got to tell them. It's important. Press harder. So what did the blackmail letter in question say?
It said to bring $50,000.
Money, eh? A perfect motive for committing murder.
Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway.
Oh, is that right?
After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of.
An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony.
Yes, sir.
A muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. Muddy mud skipper? Okay. Whatever, buddy. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? Well, you already know that.
The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct?
I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask the mask thing. I'm afraid that reason isn't going to hold up anymore.
What do you mean?
The victim had no proof the defendant was Mask the Mask. But you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier.
But that was all over with once I was fired. But it is true that the fact that I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now, a whole year later.
Is that really true?
What is it, Nick?
The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have had a problem if that ever became public knowledge.
Yeah, because then it would mean that Desi would know he got fired.
Mr. Delight, I believe you would have been in considerable trouble. With your wife, if your identity as a company data thief was made public.
Oh.
Mr. Wright, what are you trying to do by bullying your own client?
Ha! Men are like colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow.
I don't think that makes any sense.
That's exactly right. Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo.
Little lawyer amigo.
Yes. Now come on, provide some evidence to back up your assertion. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from the public?
Okay, so Sacred Urn, Ron's testimony, Buzzer record, Cade's list. No. Newspaper clipping, no. Can I present Desi? Because Desi would find out? Because she hates criminals and cowards more than anything? I think that makes sense. Yeah, okay, it stopped. It was like, wait, the music's not stopping. Wait a minute. Okay, no, it's stopping now. Thank goodness. I got real scared.
Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match with what you told me yesterday.
Huh? What doesn't?
I think you must have been scared. Very scared. Of having a certain person find out your secret.
A certain person?
Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
But listen to me. My disease, she's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins. Ah, Godot. Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. We still have... I mentioned that before. Why is she not Mrs. Delight? Don't make no sense.
Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about.
Oh.
No, everything is falling neatly into place for him.
Don't talk about my Desi like that. Oh, you'll be sorry.
Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick?
I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just under 20 minutes.
Clearly there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much.
The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Bonk. A delight-shaped shadow. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being dazed. A bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead. Oh, wrong person. Sorry, I meant at-me shaped shadow, not Delight. He's Delight. I'm getting there. We'll all get there. Don't worry. Don't question me. I know what I'm talking about. It's all part of my plan.
I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Mask the Mask struck him on the head from behind.
The next part of my master plan, directly after mixing up Ron Delight and Detective Luke Atme's names, I get incredibly popular and become rich and famous. That's the next that's the next step. Is that part of your plan? You're a big guy.
Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Gah! No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that.
What are you saying? I was really attacked.
We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Wright? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend.
You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. Alright. Enter the office. There was a suspicious shadow.
Who was this suspicious shadow?
If there were 1,000 of me, and if even one knew, I'd tell you, trust me. His dodging all of our questions is not helping us win this case.
Okay. And then how was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at that time?
What do you mean by how was he?
Was he already dead? Or was he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place.
Is that a good question? What do you think, Mr. Wright?
Forget it.
Hit on the forehead.
Your forehead?
Yes, I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. It was an amazingly fast and powerful attack.
Do you remember anything about who hit you?
Well, like I said, it was a fast and powerful hit. So I think it was a little dazed for a while. I don't think Mr. Delight even grasped what you were asking.
Yeah. I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that knocks some sense back into him.
If I hadn't been wearing that, this is the important thing. What the fuck were you wearing?
That? Could you please clarify what you were referring to?
What, my Mask the Mask costume? Of course.
Wait just a moment. Mask the Mask?
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask the Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security.
What?
Nick, did you know about this? Well, he never told me this.
I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either.
Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves keeping his secrets.
I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind?
Ha! My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me, coldly.
Gonna have to go pee. You're gonna have to go pee. He's gonna have big poops from his coffee. He's gonna interrupt the trial. You big dummy, stop drinking so much coffee. Do you think that Godot is just like catatonic all the time? And the coffee is the only reason he's like functional? Like he just has horrible, like, he has no energy. So he just has to constantly like chug coffee just to even be like this sort of like even keel person that he is. I don't like coffee. Coffee makes me go nuts. I don't even really like energy drinks or anything like that because it's like I get jittery. It's no good. I also don't like the taste of coffee, but it's, you know, it's an acquired thing. It's one of those things like, yeah, I get it if you like bitter stuff. Yeah, it's not really my thing. Just because I would like, I just can't imagine drinking several cups of coffee in a row. This seems like a nightmare. It's a horrible way to live.
At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please, correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Mask the Mask costume.
Why were you dressed up as Mask to Mask?
Why, because I'm Mask the Mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Master Mask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask the Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected.
Took a lot longer? What is he talking about? What do you mean by took a lot longer?
Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see? This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable! Wow, just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer is simple.
When they're dirty? When they take them off?
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
You mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer?
Ah, so you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Yeah, I kind of got that one because, like, dirty laundry, and he's dirty because he did the crime. But, like, you could have made that a lot more clear. So, like, the parts are there. I don't know. That was very mysterious. Very mysterious, Jogo.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Ah, well. Yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought if they find this corpse, they'll think I did it.
Ha! I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body.
That certainly makes more sense.
Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body? Spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstance? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? And that's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? And there's not much in this testimony either. I bet you he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated. Okay, 10 minutes! Okay, so what do we have? We have Okay, so well, let's think about what we have. We have this photo. Cerebral hemorrhaging from blunt trauma to the head. First heist guard in the photo is Ron. The buzzer. Kane's list. Buzzer record. So do I press buzzer? I guess I'll press the record. Right? Or present the record rather. That makes more sense than just the button. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might that be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What?
If Mr. Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Ha! Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building.
Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. And there's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
But as it turns out, the guard never came.
And that was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Ha! Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off.
This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way he could have ignored something like that.
If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that?
That was a long time of just them talking to each other. I've got to say, I really liked just Phoenix and Godot actually talking to each other. That's like the longest that any exchange. That's like it was super long. It's like, no, we're like actually having a debate about what happened. It was really good.
What? Fine. Let's hear your theory.
I don't have a theory. I have his testimony, which he said.
Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
And that's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer when he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right. Whoever it was, they knocked out Ron Delight and then pressed the buzzer.
Order in the court! Mr. Wright, this is...
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard. Bouillard, even.
I want to make him say the for the double L, since he's Mr. Amigo.
Then who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button.
So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene. But how? Can I prove it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer?
Yes, because the prince got wiped off.
The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer.
The buzzer itself. There are no fingerprints on it.
Yeah! I'm so smart! And I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence that you were looking for.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not. Hey, come on now. At least get some thought into what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue.
Now I'm the one who's clueless.
This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally, he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Yeah, spit, take, spit, take.
Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button. I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Mask to Mask. And Mask to Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints?
Order! Order!
No, they could always live a little bit longer. It's fine. Just get a little. They hang around. Update the autopsy report. He was just chilling.
Ah, it would seem I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer?
Updated? What do you mean it's outdated? That guy's great. What kind of kangaroo court is this? That video's funny. Every time people react to that, it's funny. It was funny when I did it because I'm like, this is the worst. This is messed up.
Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger?
Not if they were trying to frame him?
What's with the awkward silence all of a sudden?
Ha! It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks.
They're on to you, Nick.
Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer.
Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed.
Security was supposed to respond.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well then. No ho ho, you've got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
To call the security guard?
And the killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean that to say the killer called the guards on purpose?
Yes, although as it turns out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
Ha! What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in?
No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the 3rd person, the real killer. The at-me-shaped figure.
Hypothetically, yes.
I gotta scoot up a little bit. There we go. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guard came running in at the time, they would think that I was the murderer! Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron Delight for the murder. What? He had to take a sip just so he could do a spit take. I like this guy's style.
Order! Order!
Ha! It would seem I've been made to eat my words once again.
Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Mask the Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're gonna drag that person in here right now. But, who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So, the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard.
Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Well, Your Honor, I think I know just the man. The only other person involved with this case. Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it.
Ace Detective.
Luke Atme?
You mean Mask the Mask did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Mask to Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order! Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself!
Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment.
That's good to know, Judge. Thank you for establishing that for us. It's very important to me. Capital punishment. Confirmed. So if any motherfucker comes try to be like, I'm back. No, you're not. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom.
Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as, well, as Mask the Mask.
Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty?
Mask to Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask to Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, unassailable alibi. Or airtight, watertight, unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict as an alibi?
You know, it's almost time
For what?
for Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're going to stop this trial and start that one, we need to do it now. Of course, not assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder.
Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this?
Ha! A bet's only good when your life's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you. Mr. Delight. So please, I'm begging you. Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix. Huh? What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, and take the path of trust. That voice, it sounded like Mia. Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. So that's your answer, huh?
Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke at me to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Move my little thing over here. There we go. It was not centered properly, so my little man looked weird. This is very strange.
Well, Sir Detective Atme.
I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Atme. You were the one who...
Who's the fuck is this? It's Hulk Hogan? It's Bulk Bogan?
Ooh, that's enough. Look, this court sees no reason to further prolong this trial.
It's Bulk Bogan.
The court finds the defendant. Look at me. The court finds...
Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please. Cursed genes. Well, well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom. Who's this hoser, eh? Who's this guy? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme. Da Bears. Oh, jeez, I gotta go watch the Bears game after this, huh?
Accusation? You accuse Mask to Mask.
That man is not Mask to Mask. It's very important. They're powerful. They're two very powerful letters. He's just a ruthless murderer. What? May have disrupted the trial, but sure as God's got sandals, it beats fighting dudes with treasure trails. Yeah, let's save that real quick. What? To be continued there, eh? That's what I appreciate about you.
My sis?
I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice.
So then she's still alive, inside your heart.
Mickey boy! Oh, Miss Delight.
Is it true that detective is the real killer?
To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. But he's the only one who could have done it.
But wouldn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard?
Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. No, I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Oh, jeez, oh man. Bye. We gotta get back to the courtroom. Before the Nintendo Direct.
Oh, geez, Nick, you're right.
Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand.
My model fucks up. I have to cover my mouth to do that. And if I'm at the wrong angle, it's like, that's not a face. I don't see you anymore. Well, well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly.
I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet.
Because it's impossible to be convicted for 2 crimes. That's insane. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask to Mask. I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. And of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. Yeah, it's got some S&P for your steak. Well, you know, you gotta get some old S&P on there. 2 sides on the grill, you know. I'm too bad. I'm sad we don't get more of that judge. More of his Canadian brother. The fucking hockey players.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask to Mask.
Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example.
So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask to Mask.
Of course.
Very well then, Luke Atme. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time?
One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge.
Thanks?
All right, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak!
What?
We're all ears.
As you...
Oh, wrong, what? Wrong voice. Pull it together. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Mask to Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder.
It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene.
Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well.
Even the great Mask to Mask cannot be in 2 places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive.
Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination.
A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool.
I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick.
And the only thing that's full of it is his alibi.
God damn it.
Maya, come on, back me up here. So this photograph is the proof, correct?
Indeed it is. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing...
And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask.
That is why I am called Mask to Mask. But conveniently, that also means there's no way to tell who this really is.
What do you mean?
Are you saying this is not, in fact, look at me? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask the Mask to create an alibi?
Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? No, I don't think so.
If Luke at me was at KB security during the murder, then the Mask to Mask in this picture has to be a fake.
Then there really was an accomplice.
But right now I have no idea who it was.
I don't have any idea right now either.
Baseless objections are just what that guy wants. There's gotta be another way, and I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, clearly there has to be, but we don't know it yet. Thank you, Phoenix, for being like, yeah, that's probably right, but I don't know the answer to that question yet. We haven't figured it out. It's completely reasonable.
I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point.
That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right?
Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target.
I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am.
Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this?
Huh?
Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona.
You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here. Is that correct?
Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose. You were simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that.
Indeed. It turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing. A sad blue melody.
It looks like I'd better gather more information for now. And if he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo.
A time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder. Let's just look at it. I want to look at the picture again. It doesn't have a date on it, which I think is going to be the thing that gives him away. Because, this was moved. This was carried into the basement warehouse the day of the crime. But this happened a long time ago. So he could have easily... Am I gonna say that his accomplice is him? Is that what I'm gonna... Is that what I'm gonna have to do? Am I gonna have to say, Luke at me, your accomplice was past Luke at me? Because I would love to do that. I'm gonna be real. That would make this case like a 10 out of 10. Not that I don't think this case is like clearly awesome, but that would just put it over the top for me. Like your accomplice was you. It was past you. It'd be insane. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now. It's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you?
I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
It looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious.
And so this alibi is false.
It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the mask to mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is.
But really, it's neither. So, at least I think this makes sense. I think this makes sense to me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say your accomplice was yourself over time. Man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask to Mask. But conveniently, that also means that there is no way to tell who this really is. He's saying that this is not, in fact, Luke Atman. I'm gonna save because this is a stupid thing, and if this works, I'm gonna lose my mind. It could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask to Mask to create an alibi. Oh, how interesting. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? Yes.
If Luke Atman was at KB Security during the murder, then the mask to mask in this picture has to be a fake. Exactly. You had an accomplice. Now remember you said that, Mr. Wright, because there's no going back. If you're making baseless claims, I'll treat you to a penalty myself.
And that penalty is probably boiling hot, too.
So who is it, Mr. Wright? Who was the accomplice?
No! I wanted that to work so bad.
Your accomplice was you.
It was this person?
Ah, that's quite the prank you're trying to pull.
I did try. I had to try.
Do you have any evidence that this person is, in fact, the accomplice?
Yes, I do. I actually, so you see, the thing, the statue, it was there the night of the crime. Also, you know, you could have picked up the box. It's, you know, simple.
Well,
the aura that this person has around them is...
You're going to judge someone by their aura. You'd be right up there as the #1 suspect, Mr. Wright.
I jumped the gun on that one.
More than enough time to prepare. Okay, so what we need to do...
This, Your Honor, this guy's vibes are whack.
Carried into the basement warehouse the day of the crime. Moved again that night. Poster now. Kept out of sight. Adrian dropped the urn in the box 2 weeks ago. She also knocked over some paint. When boxed, that the sacred urn in it has pink stains on it. So it's one of these things. It's Amy Faye's golden statue somehow. I'm stealing the urn as mask to mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured mask to mask was the same time as the murder. Wrong. It was a different date, and I don't know how to... I just don't know how to get there. I have all these parts. And I've pressed everything. But I don't know... Something to do with his ace detectiveness and that he was giving that up, or... More than enough time. More than enough time. More than enough time. You had tons of time. All the time in the world. Fake the photograph. Photograph. Taken by the camera on the night of the crime. But not necessarily. Because there's no date. I can't present them together. Fellas in Paris. Fellas in Paris is one of my favorite images of all time. Of white Kanye West and white Jay-Z. It's Fellas in Paris. More than enough time. I don't want to look this up because I understand what's supposed to happen, but... So, what? Stealing the urn as mask to mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was an easy job. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. Time. So this is a claim. He is claiming that the time at which the camera captured mask to mask was the same time the murders. I'm very excited to see that, Tiara. Is the same time as the murder. So to counter that, I want to use the statue that was in the basement warehouse the day of the crime. Right? No, wrong. Shit. Stupid. Stupid. Could be an accomplice dressed up as mask to mask. Do I have to do something with this, or is this bait? Cause I already tried to say that his accomplice was himself, but himself from the past, and that did not go over well. So let's try. Let's look. Who? So we've got. Was Mask to Mask was your accomplice? Ron, because he was... No, that doesn't work. No. That doesn't make any sense. It's not Larry. I don't know. We don't have any new characters who it could be. Not Desi. Hates cowards and criminals more than anything. Mask to mask. Sorry, I'm taking a long time on this. I'm just... It was prepared. This happened 2 weeks ago. The paint marks has pink stains. Okay, so There is, okay, so I don't need, can't do this right now, even though it has to be a fake. Right now, I have no idea who it was. Don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what this guy wants. There's gotta be another way, and I'm gonna find it. Yeah, Phoenix. I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I don't know how to... I have all the parts together. Because the photo says it doesn't have a date on it. And this is not in the picture, even though it should be in the picture. Because Adrian wanted to cover up the paint splotch because it was dried and it was gross. Ah, shoot. I can't say the paint is his accomplice. I know that's not what you mean. The paint happened 2 weeks ago. So that means at any point, maybe it is in the photograph on the box, but that establishes that it could be any point in the whole 2 weeks and isn't just that one night. Maybe I can present the paint. No, he doesn't like it. No, he doesn't like it. So the paint's there. But the statue is not there, right? So that means that this is the wrong night because the statue was moved there the night of the crime, or the day of the crime, so it would have been in that photo. Because it was hiding the paint splotch. It was like over it. It was right there. And he's hiding the part of the box that has the paint splotches on it. So that's not important. But... brain! I need a brain blast right now. It's in there somewhere. Come on. Mask to mask. I don't know what your accomplice is, you big stupid idiot. An unknowing accomplice. See, that was gonna be my next thing. I'm like, can I maybe say that what's her face was an accomplice? That lady? Yeah. We'll try it. We'll try it out. Yeah. Risa Hawkeye over here. No, he hates it. No. Ugh! Sir, I'm doing a brain blast real quick. Because this is making me mad. It's gotta be... I don't... How... So... How... Trial. So... To do... Thing... How do I get there? Press the things. You bet there is. The paint? The paint is his... The paint is his accomplice? I literally said, that's stupid. The paint can't be his accomplice. Delicious paint. Yes. That's way dumber than your accomplice is you from the past. That's way stupider. Your accomplice is paint. Bah, brr. You had an accomplice. It was famed bestseller on the Wii, De Blob. Yeah. It's paint. That's who it is. It's paint. No? What? It said that was the thing. It said say it's paint. You lied to me. Turned out to be... Oh, the wrong thing. I'm focused on the wrong thing. Oh. Photograph... It's the third thing. Oh. It's the third one. I'm mixing them up. I'm supposed to be focused on the third question and not the first question. That makes so much more sense. I'm sure whatever that is way more sensible than your accomplice's paint. Shut up, you big dumb idiot. Yeah, I got brain frozen. Photos turned out to be my witness. So by photograph, you mean this. Yes, this is the thing that proves I committed the crime. Very thing. Surely you get it. I couldn't messed with it. I couldn't have done it. There's gotta be basement warehouse in this picture that supposedly captures it. What? What? I pressed this already. You all saw it. I had that dialogue before. You all saw that dialogue. I had to do it again? I had to press it twice? What? You saw me. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. I would have done this already. I would be like, point at the paint. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? Well, I read that. I read everything. I pressed everything. I know because every time we do a cross-examination, I just go, Q, Q, Q. Because that's how you win this video game. Ooh, Phoenix Wright. Ooh, Phoenix Wright. I shake my fist at you. You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night, before the theft took place. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night.
Very well, let's see what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny?
It's the paint. And the funny part, it's right here. Funny among us.
Why, this is a blood stain.
Wrong visual novel, Your Honor.
Blood? Now, this case is getting interesting.
Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint.
Oh, just paint. Peach colored at that.
From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents.
Among us.
Funny among us. Very funny. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something should be there. That something that should be there is nowhere to be seen.
Well, Mr. Wright,
It's this. This should be there. Yeah, it's all coming together. Get the crap together, everybody.
And the supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following.
Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime, around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it.
I myself was there the night the theft took place, and I saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken that night, then that statue should have been there. But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner.
Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally.
Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself, and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it?
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared with your answer.
All right. Sorry, had to take my drink first.
Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
Oh, who? Yeah, I know who. I don't know why it got moved, but it was him. It was Luke at me. Doy. Genius. Friggin' brain genius. No, this one's fine. This is an easy win.
The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke at me.
Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night.
That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue?
The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph.
Yeah, okay.
Luke at me. You pretended to be masked a mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue.
A single fatal flaw?
Also, that was very clever. Cheap film. That was funny. Exposed. I liked that, Nick. You did a good job. I'm proud of you. You have better illusions and similes than stupid Godot, who's like dirty laundry.
Interesting theory. Please, enlighten us. Just where in this picture does the lie exist?
Well, right here, buddy. Been saying it the whole time.
Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time.
But what does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was this statue placed besides the warehouse? Beside? Not besides. Thank you, video game. Beside the warehouse door.
Well,
The statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint.
Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place.
What the?
Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm certain all these people, all the rob people, those are paying customers, man. 100%. Phoenix makes like a commission based on ticket sales. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. You have like ratings. All the lawyers have ratings for interestingness of their trials. Phoenix is like the king. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in his photo.
Order! Order! Mr. Atme! Is this true?
One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
What's that?
The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data.
Just gunk. Order! Order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait! Now put that coffee down!
My 11th cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial, which means I'm still good till the last drop.
However, the defense has a very good point.
A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points.
I think he's got his points mixed up with other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied.
Which is...
That it's only a possibility Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams.
That's very true.
No way. Don't fall for that, Your Honor.
Hey, Mr. Damask.
Yes?
If there's no funny business in your actions as Mask the Mask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it.
Yes, please, provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box and Zvari! It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, wait. No, we're moving on. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. Then I handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, right?
Yeah, but we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave.
Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time?
Zvari!
Very well then. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
All right, buddy, old pal, old friend. You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews. Is that right? Indeed. It seemed that they had heard of my sparkling reputation.
I see Miss Andrews is still attracting the weirdos. You'd better watch out too, Maya.
Because she attracts weirdos? Okay. Placed in the box, and Zvari, it was then sent to the warehouse.
You mean this box?
Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me.
Huh. Interesting new tidbit.
Alright. Hence, I was actually unable to see my urn for myself until the day of the crime. Uh-huh.
So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before?
Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Luke Atme, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, blah 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 blah.
You mean this calling card?
That's right. That is without a doubt my calling card.
I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all.
Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him.
Handled security.
Then no one entered the basement warehouse.
Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. Last I held the urn in my hands for the first time. We need to coax out of him what it looked like. What does he think the urn looks like? Because that's the important thing.
And this is the photo that proves that, huh?
Indeed, to be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much.
Hey Nick, if this photo is a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken.
And that's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the court record.
Not a lot to go on, is there?
And that detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime.
All right then, how do we do that?
There's one thing that Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it.
We need to prove that he's lying.
First received the quest. Okay, so let's look at the urn. Broken and repaired by Adrian 2 weeks ago, then replaced in its box, kept out of sight. Huh. Adrian dropped the urn's box 2 weeks ago. She also knocked over some paint. Wooden box that had sacred urn in it has pink stains on it. First received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box. In Bari. It was then sent to the warehouse. But you didn't...
But you said you didn't see it. If the urn was placed in a box...
I don't know. Maybe that's reading too much into it. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand.
Yeah, but there's the poster, but I don't know if that's what they're talking about, right? I don't know if they mean, oh, the poster is the lie, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the poster's the thing that gets him, or the actual urn. I don't know what he thinks it looks like.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because I feel like it's gotta be... Sent before a heist. Security at Lordly Taylor becomes important in the most priceless work art on display in the Treasures of Crane exhibit. Speckled urn. Ooh! 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 They said that's without a doubt his calling card too. Yeah, okay. So he said this is without a doubt his calling card, right? The urn is only speckled now that it has the paint on it. So that means he must have seen it at least 10 days before crime. Because he sent it a long time ahead of time. Hence, I was unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime, but that's not true. Mr. Atme, if you really are Mask to Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask to Mask had written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true, but so what?
Truth be told, there's no way Mask to Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains?
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Wright. On the day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error. Or should I say, an error-prone human. I love her face. She's like, oh my god! Ah! She's freaking out! And that's when the pink paint got on the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet, this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
All right, that did it. He's broken.
Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose.
Huh?
Ha! He's so sad. No one has any conviction these days.
Conviction, you say?
Yesterday we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask the Mask, and now we're calling him a murderer. Bleh. You don't think we're being that fickle?
That's a good point.
No way! Don't fall for that too, Your Honor!
You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Cain Bullard. Bouillard, even. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest?
Nick, he's getting his second wind.
If he prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron Delight as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder.
The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer.
And they're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious.
Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Well, maybe, yeah, I mean, not necessarily the conviction part, but yeah, we need to know why he wanted to kill this guy, because this whole giant plot is just to kill this guy. Kill Mr. Bouillard. I, Luke Atme, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Cain Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Mask to Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Cain Bullard. Truly a tragedy. Yeah, that's true. I know it. I understand what you're saying.
So the victim, Cain Bullard, blackmailed the defendant.
This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter.
What? Blackmail letter. Dang. Written by Bullard, huh?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
All right. One second. Let me get a sip. A nice little sippy here. All right. I look at me, had no points of... sorry. I forgot what I was doing for a second. And who in the world is gonna prove that?
I will.
Huh?
After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bouillard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in their report.
Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security.
No?
Well, that was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was.
Mistook?
That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse, mistaka, meaning to take an error.
That wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake Mask to Mask to be?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Mask to Mask?
Don't you already know that? Zvari! Take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous tear of a Memnon. A magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant.
The defendant!
The victim clearly misread this article, and Zvari! He got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Mask to Mask. But he was? Why is he... I guess... that's confusing.
I see.
That was an unusually reasonable deduction.
And this guy can't deduce for shit, so it must be a lie. He's a huge liar. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail note and sent it to Ron Delight.
You mean this blackmail letter right here?
It says bring $5,000.
And the handwriting is, without a doubt, the victim's. There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it.
But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere.
An addressee? This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment. And Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addressee, is irrelevant.
But maybe it's not.
Maybe. So, Luke Atme has no... He can't deduce anything. Because he's a liar. Because he was just hanging out by Mask to Mask and discovering stuff. So his deduction that the guy mistook Ron Delight for Mask to Mask. It's because we know that they're involved somehow. So maybe he actually mistook Luke Atme for Mask to Mask, and he had already discovered who Mask to Mask was. Right? There's no address, but so this is clearly important. I think it could be.
Yeah, I wonder.
What's up, Nick?
I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Phoenix. Whoa, do you have evidence of that?
For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling.
that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? It was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. What do you mean by that? Oop, wrong button. Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. Whoop. KB Security has a lot. I hate you, you're disgusting. Give me $50,000. A lot of sorts of companies, security chief stole the data. Kane Bullard had yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter upon mistakenly believing he was the thief.
Here is a file that we discovered in Mr. Bouillard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bouillard was receiving money through blackmail.
However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually mask to mask?
On that point, there was an unfortunate bit of chance. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is mask to mask.
Do you really think that story is gonna hold up?
That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's masked the mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please, don't think too badly of him. Well, Mr. Wright.
Was he trying to act like Miss Delight just now? I thought it was actually pretty convincing. Oh, I didn't understand that at all. That didn't come across.
Oh, I should have done the lady voice.
Now that's just your imagination talking.
Come now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it. This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning.
Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves?
It's a long story and better saved for another time.
Very well. Another time.
Those so-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least not in my experience. So you're gonna try and connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either.
In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail.
That's true. Was that blackmail letter really intended for Ron?
And since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony.
Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way.
Okay, so no points of contact with the victim, which is true. Kane Bullard decided to investigate mask to mask and mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight, but we don't believe that. Do we? Yeah, we think that's bullshit. I'm glad that they just told me the answer, since there's no real connecting, like, it's very vague, so they're like, maybe it wasn't, maybe he didn't really send the letter, like, I appreciate that. It's very nice for me. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's all right. When you said this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice on one major contradiction. Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that.
You're one to talk.
At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior?
Indeed. Time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter.
Okay, so, don't want your true red diamond. It's the red diamond. Received in the mail. I knew the red diamond was important, that he was wearing it. It's you, motherfucker! It's in the evidence, in the content of the blackmail letter. How do I do that? Do I present it? What? Do I say it's him? Do I... Huh? What do I have? What do I have? What do I have? Guard in the photo is Rhonda Light. So... Jim and the Thief. $500 or $50,000. Red diamond. He's not wearing it in this photo. Or you can't see it. Not... They're both in the photo. That's because they're both in the photo, so he really mixed them up. You don't want your true identity revealed to the world? Come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring $50,000. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. It's not... yeah? This is the mix-up? Because he mixed them up because of red diamond. Yes, okay. So he thinks that Luke at me is the thing because he mixed them up and yes, okay. I figured it out. It's all there.
Take a good look at this newspaper clipping.
It contains a picture of the tear of a Memnon, the stolen jewel.
What about it?
And the problem is this jewel's color. Oh. What? Wait.
Color. I am not much for discussing color myself.
According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the tear of a Memnon that Damask stole at all. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Is that he's not talking about, he's talking about the jewel on his hand. I just need to figure out how to get that because he mixed them up. Because they're both in the photo. And I think I might have had some wrong reasoning, but I got to the right answer, so that's what matters.
So you are trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Wright?
That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright?
Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick?
Yes. And this is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. Yeah! Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You have been personally involved in every single mask-to-mask case, and in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the red diamond referred to in the letter, which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you.
Order in the court,
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright. Uh-oh, I don't like the way you said that. Kane Bouillard blackmailing Luke at me. Are you for real?
Yes, I am.
Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world.
Yes, it certainly does.
Kane Bouillard threatened to make Luke Atmy's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep secret. So, just what was that identity?
Atmy killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret?
This is what it all comes down to, Nick.
The identity that Luke Atmy wanted so desperately to keep secret was his identity as a blackmailer. Because we already know that he was he was a blackmailer.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bouillard was the one blackmailing Luke Atmy. Are you saying that Atmy was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit that does sound a little odd.
It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atmy. But Rhonda Light was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, Tear of a Memnon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. Received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans.
Detailed plans? In which case that would mean that Ron Delight was actually Mask to Mask.
That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atmy.
Yes!
Silence! Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you? You say that I, Luke Atmy, was blackmailing Rhonda Light. In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask. Well, yes. Rhonda Light started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atmy know that Ron Delight was Mask the Mask?
It was the same picture, right? They were... Because they're both in the image. Right? It's the same evidence. I feel insane. Because it's the same... It's the same evidence. But I think it's right. Because they're there. Because he caught him. It's in the trash. I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Mask to Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket.
That sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atmy. That's when you learned that under his mask, masked with no, Ron Delight. He's too fast. I'm not pressing the buttons.
Well, wasn't he supposed to be much mess? No, yeah, looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. Can't believe it. He was just slimy blackmail. A rabble. What a fraud. Try to pat himself off as an ace detective.
Why you? How dare you expose me like that? Why? I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm famous and proud, ace detective, and also mask to mask. Why can't you understand that? Oh, I'm schmovin', don't worry. I'm afraid you are neither proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why you? How dare you even dare to blah 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 blah. They're skipping the text for me. I don't even need to worry. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try to read that crap. It's enough to make one laugh.
It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme.
Bailiff, walk his nuts!
Objection!
What? The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim.
What do you mean? I've already prepared to deliver my ruling.
Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge.
Ah!
You don't get much more in your face than that.
It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Wright.
What are you?
It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at the Lordly Tailor the night of the murder.
That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr.
But there's still one thing you have yet to prove.
What's that?
Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered.
No way!
Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright.
This is it. This is the final round. Gotta prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night.
But can you really prove that?
That's long enough, Mr. Wright. I want to hear your answer.
That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security, and the defense... I don't think we can prove it. We have nothing placing him there. Nothing even pretending to place him there. I can't prove it. Whoops. Zoink, Scoob! I can't prove it. I should have saved. I was just too confident. But I can't.
Just as I thought.
But if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony...
Unfortunately, not as far as you go, Mr. Wright.
What do you mean?
I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean.
What?
Have you forgotten? Luke Atme is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Mask the Mask.
No. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Mask to Mask. My verdict shall verify that. Just as Ron Delight will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over the witness.
I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is...
Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and...
By then, it'll be too late.
Huh? Why?
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else.
Mr. Atme will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as Mask the Mask, which means...
You will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned.
No way!
The fact that you are unable to prove Mr. Atme's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer.
Ah!
Yeah, I'll take law and May's attorney first. Sure.
Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atme, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. And as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections?
Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme.
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles, no matter how bad it gets.
That voice! No way!
Yeah! Long time no see, Phoenix.
Mia!
We love Mia Ex Machina.
This is the true power of the Karain channeling technique. I know that's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey.
Now, let's do this.
But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine.
Not yet. The testimony's not over yet.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks.
Love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Mask to Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer.
Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well, then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot?
Ah, it's okay. We're like right there. It was close. I'll just watch it on YouTube after we're done.
Nothing.
Oh, sir lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. Holy shit. God damn it. These motherfuckers.
If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, Luke
Let's hear it.
Huh?
It's true that the witness has made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination.
Mr. Godot, what are you...
Very well then, Mr. Luke Atme. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So please, give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. True that I was not at Lonely Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make the deduction from the buzzer, which sounded only once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zvari! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. I'll watch it after. And this testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. No spoilers for it. I want to see it by myself.
The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course.
But how do you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer.
Are you going to make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer?
I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Shut up.
Yes, Your Honor.
We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Hang on a second. Just one chance? It seems that the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem.
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. And that's all there is to it.
Cup number 17. The last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial.
I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Aw, geez, I can only press one thing.
Fine.
Okay. Let's see how that goes. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
I'm gonna save. Calm down. Be fine. The last origami figure, the last trial. True that I was not at Lordly Taylor, and to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph ready. My brilliant deduction was that what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. Also make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. But he didn't... He didn't sound it, though, because he was out. We already established this. We already established that this isn't true. The killer didn't sound it. Well, the killer did, but it wasn't him. Because he was out cold. In the blackmail letter, the victim just took the color of the jewel. That's stupid. All the evidence points to that poor boy. This cross-examination is the only chance I have to nail him. Somewhere there's a huge contradiction, and I've got to find it. As far as I can see, there's no evidence that contradicts his testimony. All you can do is press him, and you only get one shot. True that I was not at Lordly Taylor. Know about it beforehand. Production, it was cool, one in the light. It was one clear that he was there. It only sounded once, but it had fingerprints on it. Was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. How do you know? We established that this isn't true. That he couldn't have done it because he was out cold. But he doesn't know that. But he does know, because he wasn't in here, but he does know that he was in his mask-to-mask outfit, which he told no one. Except the people in this courtroom today. Right? So, it must mean that Detective Atme knew somehow, by being there, that he was in the outfit. Oh, I got you, motherfucker. Mr. Atme, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Wright? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every single little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you've finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as mask-to-mask when he went to the scene of the crime?
That was,
It was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cop was looking at me with a cold stare.
Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now.
That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There's no way that you should have known about that. You are in the next courtroom, being tried as mask-to-mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information?
Well,
Come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. There is one, and only one way, for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one. One way, you say? Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony.
when I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there.
For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible! Detective Atme, you saw Mask to Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing.
It's not like he wears it all the time. We'll just ignore that. He's gonna go Super Saiyan. Oh, take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown.
That's the same line you gave yesterday.
But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. Freaking got him.
What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. And he then claimed to be guilty as Mask to Mask in order to escape his true crime.
And to that end, he came up with this plan. To use the double jeopardy rule when making an alibi.
At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth.
Excuse me?
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me!
Oh shit, I thought it was Maya.
Oh, don't ignore me!
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be?
About the verdict.
I know. You never committed any murder.
That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Mask to Mask.
Ah?
So thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy?
Now that you mention it.
I've been careless.
Careless? What do you think, Mia?
As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute, and also not how that works, but whatever. We're moving on. A defendant can never be tried for a crime in which he was once found innocent.
And then Mask to Mask is really innocent?
It would seem so, for now.
For now?
Now then, this court finds the defendant
Not guilty.
Nailed it!
Man, we were close.
Okay, bye-bye, Tiara. Bye-bye. Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, this thing is I still am Mask to Mask after all.
You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days.
Oh?
I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, he seems kind of torn these days.
You mean about becoming the master of the Karain channeling school?
Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother.
Misty Faye, right?
Watch over her, will you, Phoenix?
Of course!
Well then, see you around.
Mia.
Ah, Mr. Wright. I don't know what to say.
Congratulations, Mr. Delight.
Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though. Now that all of this has happened. Come on! on, just be happy already.
Maya.
You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as mask to mask with ask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming mask to mask. I did it all for one reason. For her.
You mean your wife, Desiree?
She hates criminals more than anything.
Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she?
She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure.
So that's why you became mask to mask.
Yes, but it's all over now. A broken ball can never be put back together. And that's not true, right, Nick?
Right.
Really? Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it.
Am I gonna give him the urn? I can. I kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if the bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together.
This sacred urn. Desi was the one who found this.
Desiree, your wife. She's always believed in you, Ron. And that's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
There you are.
Miss Delight.
You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined you were really mask to mask either. Miss Delight, what are you gonna do now that you know? You're not gonna really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way he could ever get away.
But didn't you say that you hated criminals?
Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective.
I see.
My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them. Like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi.
Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you?
Nicky boy.
Yes?
I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you done for us.
Oh, well, take care of yourself.
You too, Nicky boy.
I can feel my face going red.
Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations!
Talk about bad timing.
Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya. I'll never forgive you, ever, never!
Oh, just as the case came to a close. Oh, dude, in my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look.
Ah, they love it! They love it!
Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before.
Yay! They love to see it. They love to see it. That's so good. Well, that was a great case. We have recipe. Ooh, Maya's in a little outfit. There's a man with a scouter. That's exciting. How about we save and turn this freaking video game off, huh? It went a little longer than I was hoping, but hey, here we are.
I knew I should have started earlier. But yeah, that's it for today. We're not... That's enough. Yeah, that is enough. We're not looking at that. I don't want to see none of that.